Welcome to Between the Details, the podcast where event planning gets real. I'm Jessica Ralph, owner of Parties a la carte.
And I'm Aaron Lockwood, owner of Lockwood Studios. Each week, we'll be sharing insider tips, honest advice, and behind-the-scenes truth for both vendors and clients.
Welcome to our latest episode. We are talking about etiquette for guests and vendors, and that goes across all types of events. I think It's weddings, social, whatever you're attending. If you're attending an event, these are the do's and don'ts.
Yes, and I think it's kind of an unfortunate topic.
Yes.
But it is something that we have to talk about.
I think so.
Not everybody was raised to know what they should do, what they shouldn't do, or have common sense over things too. So, or again, like we're coming from a space where we've been to a lot of events.
Correct.
We've attended a lot of events. And so you've seen things that people do or shouldn't do. So
I'm going to start with my hot topic, which is always dress code for vendors, dress code for guests. I just personally think that, back in the day, there was a lot of rules, and I think those still stand. Like, you should not be, unless the bride is doing like a white party for her wedding, you should not be doing anything that's going to upstage the bride, right? So you shouldn't be wearing white. You shouldn't be wearing like a loud red color or like a cheetah print. I mean, I really think you should be taking into consideration the event that you're going to, the dress code that they've given, the venue and all of that, and really be mindful of not trying to outstage the brides.
Yeah.
I'm lucky I have a lot of friends who will text me and be like, hey, is this too cream or too yellow and it looks too similar? And I'll be like, yes or no, and I'll give them the answer. But I really think you have to not upstage the bride. I also think that you really need to be dressing for the occasion. And so if you are going to a black tie event, you should be dressing black tie. If you're going, to a wedding, you should just like never wear shorts, never wear jeans. Like that's just not appropriate. Yeah. And as a vendor, I think, again, you should be dressing to work, but also dressing to the level of the event that you're doing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like I expect you to be in a tuxedo if you're doing a black tie event as a photographer, let's say. Yeah. But you should definitely be in a suit at least, or a jacket and shirt, shirt and pants, Pants are important.
It's kind of funny, when I first started doing wedding photography, it was actually like fairly customary for the photographers to wear tuxedos to weddings. Yeah. And
I would love it.
I wore probably maybe the first 4, 5, 6 weddings I shot, I wore a tuxedo because like the guy that I had kind of interned under or learned a little bit about weddings, like he always wore a tuxedo. And so he was like, hey, if you're going to come along and shoot with me or whatever, this is what you need to do. And so I slowly kind of transitioned off of that. It's just very uncomfortable working in a tuxedo. And back then I was shooting film too. So I had all these like film.
It's also hot in Florida.
Oh my gosh. And it's Florida. So then I started just wearing like, a nice dress shirt and slacks with a tie.
Yeah.
And then as things progress, ties have kind of, I don't even see ties as often.
I see ties often.
But
I see ties often. I think I always come from this place. I see, and this might get me into some trouble, but I see a lot of planners who are overdressing, where they're starting to believe that the event is about them. And they're coming in stuff that's low cut or strapless. And I think there's a level. Like, I want to dress for my event and I want to be the aesthetics of it and help elevate it and blend in. But I don't think that I should be a prime focus. Yeah. The day is not about me.
Yeah.
It's not. It's about the couple or whoever you're doing the event for, and it should be that way. So I think your dress code should be elevated to reflect the level of event that you're doing, but you should never be the main focus. And I think people are going too far in both directions. They're either significantly underdressing, like you should not be wearing leggings. I don't care if you're working the photo booth. You should not be in leggings. You should not be in jeans. You should not be in tennis shoes. Wear setup clothes and then change. Same with going the other direction. Like, as a planner, or any vendor, you should not be outdressing the guest or anybody that's attending.
And I think it's easy now with, again, years ago, it was a little harder to find clothes that were like very comfortable to work in, but also looked good.
Yeah.
But now I feel
So
like
much
with
dry
so
fit.
many of the lightweight fabrics, and even, you know, obviously with it being in Florida, it's hot, you know, or even sometimes like we'll bring a change of clothes to change into partway through. So maybe the beginning part when we're kind of more behind the scenes, you know, we're working, moving gear, we're getting hot, whatever. But then, you know, before the ceremony, you know, when we did weddings, or change into a jacket, or like, especially if you're going to be more,
pop a jacket on.
Yep. Especially if you're going to be more visible, if you're going to be like in front where people see you, then I think it's, you know, you got.
I think if you're guest facing, it's so important that you are dressed appropriately.
Yeah.
You know, I made a TikTok about it, and it got a lot of traction, and I think there was a lot of people who are agreeing. Your tata should not be out. You should not be, you know, I shouldn't see your bra straps. I shouldn't see your undergarments.
Yeah.
Guys shouldn't have hats on or be wearing shorts. If you're a setup crew and you're coming to set up rentals, be in khaki or black, you know, golf shorts and a polo or a branded T-shirt. Like you're setting the tone for your own brand, you know? So I think that, and from a guest perspective, like respect what you're going to.
For sure.
You know, if you're going to a service where you know that the shoulders are supposed to be covered, cover your shoulders. It's 30 minutes of your life.
Yeah.
Like, you know, or a few hours of your life.
So when you're planning an event, you usually would kind of put on the invitation.
Yeah, we put it
you know,
everywhere.
suggested wardrobe. Is it the same for corporate events? Would you put like business casual, or like we're gonna have a cocktail reception where you can be a little more dressy, or
even like we're doing a networking event in July, and we're putting that it's like cabaret chic, right? But if they don't come cabaret chic, that's fine. But that's what goes with the event. But they should still, at a minimum, be business, right? Or business casual.
Yeah.
So I feel like people just need to kind of respect those terms. I think people have spent a lot of money and a lot of time planning, and it's super important for you to help with that. Like this is someone you care about, or, you know, or a job, or, you know, whatever it is. So why wouldn't you want to like be respectful of that?
I'm actually shocked how often we shoot corporate events, primarily more so like I would say awards banquets type thing, you know, where the company is really doing an amazing job appreciating their employees. You know, they're having this incredible dinner, they're having entertainment, all this stuff. They're giving away, you know, some great door prizes, other things. And then, you know, and a lot of times it's at a really nice venue too. Sometimes you're even putting them up for the night. You know, they're bringing them in.
Or
a lot of times they're flying them in for a few nights, that type of thing. And then they're having this really nice award reception. And then the people show up in like shorts and a T-shirt or something.
Yeah. I think it depends on the company culture. Like, you know, there's some companies that we work with that you're never going to see them dressed up, and that's okay. And, you know, but I think, again, you have to dress for the right, you know, for the event, essentially. If you're going to something that's in the evening, you shouldn't be wearing shorts. You should be wearing slacks, you know.
Well, and sometimes it's the people that, you know, obviously the salespeople that are more the face of the company. They show up like dressed really nice. They're wearing suits, high, like, and then the IT people that are like in the back where nobody ever sees them. They probably don't even own a suit, maybe. So it's like, I think though that, you know, if maybe they just took a minute and thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, I will say too, for the last couple of events that we've done mood boards where we're giving inspiration to what people should wear. These were guest-driven events, you know, like they were corporate events that they were invited, and it was like a free ticket to these things, like a banquet and stuff like that. But we gave mood boards because we were spending so much time and energy and money, for that matter, on the aesthetics of the event that we wanted the people to carry that through as well. And so we sent mood. Now, did everybody come dressed like that? No, but a good majority did, and it was fun. We got them out. You know, we were asking for people to wear bright colors and be, you know, surreal and, you know, all of that stuff. So it added to the ambiance. Like it helps create a feeling.
Yeah. A lot of the corporate events and social events and stuff that we've been doing lately have been themed. And I feel like the people just love it. Like,
I've been on the year of themes.
Really,
I don't know what's
really
going on.
Neat. Yeah.
I've done more cowboy parties.
I was going to say we had like,
yes.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, so we've done one or two with you, and then another one where they did like the cowboy hats and like all that. So I think
it's a big
that's
thing.
kind of fun.
But I think
maybe that makes it easier for them for dress code too if it's themed.
Sometimes.
You know,
I also think it just depends because it can be costly.
Yeah.
So I think as someone hosting, you need to think about that on your guests and make
Yeah.
sure that it makes sense for the people you're inviting.
Yeah. All right. So
All
let's
right. As
another
a photographer,
Okay.
what are your pet peeves from guests?
Ooh, so
I know
I
it's-
could have a very long list.
I
I
know.
would say
Give me a
live
top
in
few.
events. So I think one of the things that, especially in weddings, was like put your phone away. Don't bring your camera.
Right.
I don't.
You've got this.
I admire the fact that people are hobbyists. They love photography, whatever. We don't need Uncle Joe taking pictures. I'm capable of capturing this. I'm going to just go back a few years to an event that I had at a very nice venue. And just as I was about to take the picture of the couple kissing after the ceremony, Uncle Joe stepped out in the aisle right in front of me with his camera. And the picture I got was the back of him taking a picture. And about 3 or 4 days after the wedding, I got an email from Uncle Joe with the picture that he had taken. And he was like, I'm sending this to you. Evidently, the contracted photographer missed the shot and didn't get the kiss. So here's the picture I'm providing for you guys because they missed the kiss. Like he was maybe assuming it was just somebody from our company or whatever. And I was just like, oh, no, you didn't. And I was just like, okay.
Listen here. Joe.
Let me explain something to Uncle Joe. So I sent him the picture and I said, yes, I did miss the shot. Here's the picture that I got. And it was obviously the back of him standing right in front. And he was like mortified. He was like, I am so sorry. I didn't realize I was just excited and like, in the moment. And like, oh my God. Like he didn't mean.
I know. They mean well. But at the end of the day, like you have to trust that your couple or your host has spent a lot of time and money curating a team to capture the day.
Yeah.
They don't need you unless they ask for it. Now, there's some trends right now where you're seeing the QR code go around and people are asking for all these candids. And if that's what you want, fine.
Yeah.
But I would say most couples are really counting on their photographer to do it. And so as a guest, you should just stay out of the way, be present in the moment, watch the kiss live.
Exactly.
Watch them take their vows, watch them exchange rings, watch them sing happy birthday, watch them accept their reward. Whatever it is, you don't have to be the one.
Yeah. So people, I feel like just these days have such a hard time when it's not about them.
Yeah.
Like everybody just wants every moment to be about them.
Well, I don't know if they want
not
to be about
everybody,
them,
but a lot of people.
What I think they want is they want to have the accolades of being the one that captured it or did it. And they have good intentions. But I think they just don't realize that they're actually making it more difficult.
Yeah. And I could say that would be maybe a second pet peeve for me is the guest that just wants to hog the couple's time, like nonstop. Like, maybe they're not in the bridal party. So I don't know, maybe they felt a little slighted that they weren't like in the bridal party or something.
I think they're just super excited. They don't realize like there's 200 other people
that want
to say hello.
Yeah.
My pet peeve is when they go and ask them to take a photo when they're eating.
Oh,
that irritates the pure fire out of me. Like I just get so heated. I can't even stand it. I will stand there and give them, like I'll stand off to the side.
Do not breach the perimeter.
And I will give them biggest, resting face to say like, do not come this way because they are eating. They've spent probably $600 on that meal. They are eating it. Go sit down.
Give them a moment of peace.
Let them get a moment of peace.
How about the impromptu toast or speech?
Oh, no, don't do that. If you're not asked, don't do it. Just don't do it.
Yeah.
And I don't want people to take this session as like, oh, this is just them complaining and guests are horrible.
No.
People are lovely and wonderful. And people are so excited to have their family and friends there. We're saying this from a standpoint of like, we hope we help someone understand so that they can make their event better.
Yeah.
Right? Like, don't hurt the couple that you love so much.
Yeah, they're not purposely trying to.
We hope.
But sometimes people don't understand. Like, I'm literally going to approach the couple, hey, it's time, like, let's go and do sunset photos. Like, we've got to do this right now. But then Aunt so-and-so or whoever is
I will cut in
having
and
this prolonged, as polite as I can be, I'll be like, hey, and so usually they're like, oh, thank you for rescuing.
Yes, 90% of the time they're saying that.
Yeah.
My other thing is, I think if you're being a guest at any event, is being on time.
That's
like
huge.
being on time, taking into consideration parking,
Yeah.
walking to find the space, doing all that. Be on time, be a few minutes early.
Yeah.
Don't also be the opposite and be 2 hours
Too
early.
early. Yeah.
Right? Because then that's really hard. The space is not set up. The photographer, people get so mad when I ask them to like leave the space.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm so sorry. But that's
or
what
they come in like way ahead of time and
Yes.
put their purse and jacket or whatever in the
I hide it.
that can be another pet peeve
Yes.
for me. I'm trying to shoot the room with all the beautiful table decor or whatever, and people have already like come in, and most of the time it's like assigned seating anyway, so I'm not sure why they're so
They just
anxious.
want a place to put their stuff down, which is fine. I get it. But like, wait till you're invited in the space.
Yeah.
The other thing is that's where I feel like accidents can happen.
True.
You know, like I've seen people knock over the wedding cake or break a vase or break something. And it's like you weren't invited in this room yet. And now the couple hasn't even gotten to see the space without the, you know, the drama of what just happened.
Yeah.
You know, or they walk on the dance floor and scuff it all up.
Especially
Aaron.
Amanda's beautiful dance floors.
Amanda's beautiful
I
dance.
take my shoes off.
Now you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about not? Okay, we talked about guests being late or arriving too early, but how about guests that just like come for dinner and then just leave?
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Sometimes they can't, but I think it's hard. I also think the no showing is probably the worst thing you can do.
Yes.
Like the couple has spent so, I mean,
Yes.
I totally get emergencies happen. People get sick, things happen, like life happens. I get it. But if you RSVP for that event, that couple is spending on average, I know not always, but on average, $200 or $300 if you're having a wedding at a
They're
resort.
not getting that back because
They're
you
not
don't
getting
show
it
up.
back. They've also taken the time to have, you know, seat, centerpieces, a table, place cards, menus, all of that stuff. The average cost, I will say, is somewhere between $1,000 and $1,500 to have someone be at your wedding.
Per couple or per person?
Person.
Per person.
Per person.
And so if just
that's
on a
on
whim they decided not to show up,
that's on an elevated wedding, right? Like on a I mean, honestly, on a mid elevated wedding.
Yeah.
That's what you're spending. There's obviously way more,
wow.
you know, price per person when you're getting into the ultra luxury events. But I would say on average, unless you're on a very budget focused wedding, you're spending somewhere between, you know, $800 to $1,500 easily when you're at a resort. Like if you're at any of the properties that you can have a ballroom, have a ceremony, and have guests stay on there, that's an easy number to say.
And again, we understand things happen.
Totally.
Life happens, things come up. But when they're just intentionally deciding not to show up because
they're tired or they went out the night before. Yeah.
I definitely see that not just in weddings, but also in corporate events too, where like an entire table full of people won't show up. Or I guess in that scenario, a lot of times though, for like charity events and things, they're paying for that table. So they're like, oh, we paid for it.
But
it's
still,
the same amount of money they're raising if we don't show up or not.
That's the thing. Like now, what if they have an auction or they have an ask or you know from the heart or whatever? Now they've lost out on the opportunity that people could have been there and given more.
Yeah.
So I don't like that. I think the other big thing too is making sure that you RSVP.
Right.
That is my number one.
In a timely manner.
Just by the date.
Yeah.
Like, you know if you're coming or not. Like, you know if you're going to come to this event or not. Just send the paper in.
It didn't sneak up on you.
Yes. Or go RSVP with a QR code and just let them know that you're coming. Because you know what? It's expensive to have events.
Yeah.
People have B lists. They have C lists. Sometimes they have a D list.
Yeah.
You know, and it's not because they don't love those people. It's just because they have to go in a pecking order.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you're RSVPing. You're supposed to send the card back, and the little M, just for everyone, is for you to write your name, Mr. or Mrs. and whatever. We get a lot of...
And they don't even have to mail them in anymore, right?
Sometimes.
But
I mean, I like an old school. I love paper.
Yeah,
I know the
I
post
love
office is a
printed.
struggle, but I love paper. But just RSVP.
Yeah.
Say if you're coming. And if it doesn't, and just as a little fact, on the front of your envelope, whatever name it says is who's invited.
Who's invited.
If it doesn't say your kids,
Right.
they're not invited.
It's not Mr. and Mrs. and 5 extra.
No, that is the biggest thing. It's like people calling and saying, I want to bring my kids.
Yeah.
And I get it. Like, but you need to get it. If you're doing a destination wedding, that you need to find a babysitter and get a babysitter there. A lot of the resorts have them, or you can get with the planner and she'll give recommendations for your guests and you can have them on the wedding website.
Yeah.
But do not just ask to bring your kids. I know everyone thinks, again, that it's just so easy. Why not? but it costs money. It costs space. There's a lot of capacities on
And
these
90% of the time, the
ballrooms.
kids do not want to be at a wedding.
don't
They
wanna be there,
would
and
much
they're
rather have a
ruining
pizza night or a
moments.
movie night with friends.
Yes. And they're ruining
Yeah.
it. They're getting into shots. They're going in the dance floor on the first dance.
Yeah.
That is not what that couple wants.
Yeah.
I don't
And
care
I love
how
kids.
cute.
I love families, but there's a time
I
and
have
place
4
for
boys.
Exactly.
I love children.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's the best thing ever.
Yeah.
But there's a place and a
not
time.
at that level of
I think it depends.
events.
It depends
Yeah.
on the wedding. If they're having a family focused wedding with a
Right.
lot of kids or they're not.
Yeah.
But if you've got the one kid there that's crying and on the dance floor and like, you know, crawling on the table, it's not the place for them.
Yeah. And I've had weddings where they did have a lot of children in the wedding and, you know, they were important to the couple and it was nieces, nephews or whatever. So they provided like a secondary space
Correct.
and licensed, you know,
Babysitters, different
and
food.
they like had a meal the kids would enjoy
Yes.
and they watched a movie or something fun or whatever. So there's workarounds. Like
There
you don't have
totally is
to
workarounds.
Like, yeah. And sometimes people will just like straight up not go to a wedding or an event because they're not allowed to bring
And that's okay
their
then.
kids.
Then don't go.
But as long as you RSVP in time
Yes.
and tell them that you're
I think it's just important. I think a lot of people don't realize that, okay, so essentially at a venue, you have to give them a count a certain amount of times out. Sometimes it's 2 weeks out, sometimes it's 30 days out. Now you can adjust that typically closer to sometimes it's 7 days, sometimes it's 3 days. It just depends on the venue. But all your rental companies, your flower company, all of those companies have to know 30 days out
Yeah.
how many chairs you're ordering, how many chargers you're ordering, how many centerpieces you need, because all of that ordering has to be tweaked and they only have so much inventory or they need to get a certain amount of inventory in. And so if you are not RSVPing in a timely manner, you are making that couple spend money that they don't need to. And I just think that that's just so uncalled for.
Yeah. It's kind of selfish.
It is selfish.
For sure. So here's another guest, I would say, faux pas. And sometimes I can understand like this is maybe out of control of the couple, but I've had numerous situations where like a playoff game fell on their
Don't get
wedding
me
reception
started.
or you know, there was one year where the Lightning made the playoffs. They went far. I think they ended up winning the Stanley Cup that year. And they weren't like nobody was really expecting them to make it that far into the playoffs. And, you know, the couple had planned their wedding and it was like game 3 or 4 of the playoff.
Yeah,
And the guests were
unfortunate.
literally leaving the reception, going out into the lobby, watching the game, but then coming back into the reception to get the free drinks and then going back out there. The bride was like so upset.
Oh, I'd be so pissed. I'd
But-
lock the doors.
Oh my gosh. But then I've seen like the other thing where there was that year where I'm trying to remember what had happened, but they had pushed the NFL season back a couple weeks, right? So then their wedding ended up falling on like the last game of the playoffs for the Bucks or whatever. But instead of the couple being like, oh, we're just going to ruin her, they just embraced it. So they brought, you know, TVs in, they pushed things back, you know, so they just made it like part of the experience. But I would say like guest etiquette, like even seeing people sitting at a table like watching
Phones, yeah.
you know the game on their phone.
I don't
or
know.
something.
I just feel like be present.
Just
But it's
record
hard.
it, watch it later.
I'm not a huge sports fan, so it's hard for me to understand the level of love there.
And people are invested.
People are intense, they're invested.
In their sports,
But I
so.
will tell you this, that if you've chosen to be a part of this couple's journey or this event for this celebration of whatever it is, just be present.
Yeah.
It's a game. They're a team. It's not end all be all. This is the beginning of someone's life
Yeah.
or a celebration of something huge and special.
Yeah.
That football team will play another game. They will have another thing. There will not be another moment like this with this family.
Even if
and
you have
friends
money
there.
riding on it,
Even if you have money riding.
Even
Well,
if-
don't gamble on wedding events.
the game is gonna happen. The outcome is not gonna change
Yes.
whether you watch it or not.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, I just think that's super
and
important.
actually, surprisingly, I do see that a lot at events, like
Tons.
whether it was weddings in the past or even corporate events.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where like people will be sitting at the table, like even mid conversation with other guests, and then they're watching the game on their phone or
Going back to our other conversation with Ryan from Salt Block, we were talking about dietary restrictions. And one of the things that he said is the biggest thing for him is to make sure that you have the dietary restrictions in advance, because then
Communicate.
they can curate something that guest with that dietary restriction still feels special, like the rest of the guests that are getting, you know, this gorgeous luxury, you know, elevated, you know, delicious from scratch plate. instead of giving them, a bowl of lettuce.
Right.
So I think it's super important that if you have a dietary restriction or an allergy, to make sure that you're conveying that in a timely manner on your RSVP card or on the RSVP website, so that your host can know that in advance and make the proper accommodations, instead of showing up and being like, oh yeah, I'm allergic to X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, that's really good. Especially because they still want that guest to have a wonderful experience, which they can do if they communicate.
I think it's really interesting. I feel like we get the spectrum of it. So some people will just not tell about their allergy. And so then that's a problem. And then you've got people who don't really have an allergy, but are requesting, like, I think I just did a few events where they were like, I only eat X, Y, and Z. I don't remember what it was, but it was like not like just chicken. It was like, I only eat salmon and this and that.
Cooked a certain way.
Cooked a certain way with nothing of this and nothing of that. And again, it's like, eat before you come.
So does that mean I can say that my dietary restriction is I only eat like steak and
Listen,
baked
I
potatoes
already
and
give you all of my leftovers at events. What more do you want?
If they can request gluten-free, I can request...
No, you cannot be requesting filet and T-bone steak. Sorry.
As my dietary
I'll just keep
restriction.
cutting my portions and giving them over
Would
to
that
you.
fall under bad etiquette?
Bad etiquette. Yes, bad etiquette.
Jen and I learned something interesting recently too, because we do a lot of like social media footage, different things for hotels. And they were telling us like what bad etiquette a lot of the vendors have that come there, like whether they're bartering for media coverage or this or that. And I was just like, I was shocked at like
I think from
some of the things that they ask for that they do while they're at the venues or whatever. I was like, I didn't realize we're so well behaved. Like we're like
I
really
also
good
think
guests.
From a vendor standpoint that when you're visiting a venue, you should be like, pick up your trash. If you're in the vendor room and you finish your vendor meal, collect it all together, put it on the tray jack, like help them. Like I am a huge proponent in being a team player. I think that's the foundation and the core of our business is really making sure that we help whoever we can help. And I want to come from that place always.
Yeah.
And so with the venues, I think a lot of times they really enjoy working with our company because we go out of our way to make sure that we help them too. We know it's a long and tough day.
Oh, I saw you guys at the conference that we shot last week. Your whole team was there helping cleaning up things that guests had left behind or things on the table or whatever. That's not your job per se, but like you're part of the team. And then again, like a lot of times the guests don't really have the greatest etiquette. So they're just getting up and leaving, empty bottles or this or that or whatever.
How about don't get too drunk at the event?
Oh, okay. That definitely.
Okay. I'll tell you, I got a story. So I had a lady walk in circles for 2 hours because she was so intoxicated and lost her purse. She walked around the perimeter of the thing. I mean, maybe it wasn't really 2 hours, but it felt like 2 hours. And then I did another wedding where they literally puked on the, and these are high-end weddings, folks. Like, I don't want anyone to think that this is just like.
It wasn't at the VFW.
No, this is like at a, 5-star resort.
Wow.
And the people literally threw up on the table and then picked the linen up and put it over it and walked away. I've been thrown up on. I literally found a lady passed out in a bathroom and like tried to get her help and she will refuse service. I was like, you have to leave. She threw up on my shoes. Like there's some wild.
That should have been
a
maybe
few
one
years,
of
but
the
it's been
first
one.
things that we said. Don't drink too much.
Don't drink too much.
I mean, people are like showing up to these events already. Like we've had some corporate events where like they showed up before the cocktail hour reception even started and they were already toasty. I'm like, ooh.
It's very interesting to me why you would want to come. I mean, and again, I'm really a non-drinker. I at this point really don't even drink at all. I might have 1 or 2 drinks here or there, but it's few and far between. And it's not. I mean, to each their own.
Yeah.
For me, I don't like what it does to me. It makes me feel, and I worry about how I look, and so I don't want to age from alcohol, and it's really just poison to your body. But that's a different subject. So
I think Ryan will come back on where we can talk about all the health benefits of various things.
Yeah, but I think like to be at the end of the night and you can't get out of here and go get into an Uber, and my little 5'2" self has to figure out how to carry this 6-foot man
Some of
out
these
to a
people
car.
are trying to drive themselves home
Well,
at
yeah,
the end of
that's
the
crazy.
night.
That's a
Forget
whole-
the Uber.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh,
this
I've
whole
had times
Uber-
where I'm like, I've seen these people at the event, and then I'm like at valet getting my vehicle, and I'm like, this person's driving home. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy.
whoa.
Yeah, but for me,
Yeah.
it's like trying to pick up this 6'2" man and like get him to the Uber. Like, no, like, come on. So I think just be respectful. Think about what you think this couple or person that's having the celebratory event would really want.
That's not the memory that they want.
That's not the memory they want.
Have in the back
So,
of their mind.
well, this was a good little
One,
chat.
one last thing I got to throw out there. What about like celebrities at events?
I think you just don't. I think the biggest
How
thing
to
is
guess,
you
like-
don't ask for pictures.
Yeah.
I think
Just let them enjoy it just like
Yes.
everybody else.
I think let them
Yeah.
enjoy it like everybody else. Also, they're close with that couple or that person that's hosting the event, right? And so I think they need to be just treated like every other guest.
Yeah.
And I just don't think that they should be, you know,
Don't ask them for autographs.
Don't ask them for autographs.
to take selfies with
Yes.
them. Like, let them just be
but
there.
most
And
of the
like,
hotels that we work at have a no autographs
Yeah.
policy, which helps to some degree. I mean, still people are going to do it.
Yeah.
But as a planner and a vendor, I never would ask
Mm.
for a selfie with them. I mean, I just did events with Ryan Serhan and Ricky Martin and, you know, Titus O'Neill and all of that stuff. I would never ask for
Yeah.
photos because to me, I'm working, they're working. Like, it's just not respectful.
Yeah,
They're
it's not
getting
professional.
inundated anyways.
Yeah.
So like, if you're a vendor, you should not be asking for photos unless there's like an appropriate time that
Yeah.
just like works itself out. But for the most part, I would say stay
yeah,
away from
in
that.
all the years that we've been doing this, and we've worked with a lot of different celebrities and athletes and all that, the only time that I've ever taken selfies with them or like kind of been part of that was we did the Super Bowl ring ceremony for the Bucks after they won the Super Bowl, and that was like right after COVID. I know we don't talk about COVID, but
Yes.
and their families weren't up there with them or whatever, so they were just wanting to celebrate with like whoever was there,
Oh,
and they
that's
were
sweet.
literally grabbing us, taking selfies with their phones,
Yeah.
and like, give me your phone, like.
I think
So I
if
feel like
they
that was like
ask,
you're caught
yeah.
up in the moment. It was
Yeah.
a different
But if
situation,
they're
but
asking, that's
exactly,
the difference.
I would never have been like, here, take a picture with me or whatever. So it's
I
like,
think that's good.
yeah.
Well, I think this whole thing has been a vendor
topic.
confession.
Yeah.
So I don't know
That's
that
true, right?
I don't know that we need one today.
Yeah, I think
But-
if people just, have a little common sense, have a little etiquette, just,
Care about the people that you're
care
going
about
to
the
these
people
events
that are-
for.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
if it's your company, then take pride in that too.
Yeah. And be appreciative that they're doing this for you.
Yeah, events are expensive.
Very expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
All right. Well, wonderful episode.
good time.